yeshena.
Ani yeshena belibier, belibier, kodo dido verpitrili. 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 Achoti rayati yonati tamati sheroshi nimlatam vusatai resis leilan. Achoti rayati yonati tamati sheroshi nimlatam vusatai resis leilan. Ani yeshena belibier, belibier, kodo dido verpitrili. Ani yeshena belibier, belibier, kodo dido verpitrili. Achoti rayati yonati tamati sheroshi nimlatam vusatai resis leilan. Achoti rayati yonati tamati sheroshi nimlatam vusatai resis leilan. Achoti rayati yonati tamati sheroshi nimlatam vusatai resis leilan. Achoti rayati yonati tamati sheroshi nimlatam vusatai resis leilan. Ani yeshena belibier, belibier, kodo dido verpitrili. Ani yeshena belibier, belibier, kodo dido
So many of our rituals gather around the door and around welcoming. I think I should just say this every week in Romemu, as long as I'm here at Romemu, God willing, till I'm older. So much happens at the door. We're not the people of the book, we're the people of the door. Because we were born as a people in the doorposts that led to freedom. We know what it's like to be not welcomed, and so we begin every Shabbat welcoming people. And so we welcome you, whomever you are. I can look out and I can see many of you that I've never met before, which is kind of always like, I'm so happy, and I see so many faces that I recognize. It's so beautiful to be here with Yehuda, our beloved dancing chassid, to be with all of the angels, you know, to be here for the last Shabbat of our incredible rabbinic intern, rabbinic fellow, Jackson Mercer, who's been with us now for 2 years of Jackson and Jackson Heights. Like we've met, you know, we've had some amazing moments with Jackson. It's been great. And tomorrow morning he'll be back, God willing, with these incredibly beautiful people, dear friends. So we welcome angels on Shabbat because the tradition says that when you come home from shul, and we could say when you arrive at shul, there are 2 angels that are malava that escort you in, you know. So I want to bring in the angel of all of the great rabbis who've ever lived and great humans who've ever lived, and the angels of all of the different traditions within our beautiful panoply of Jewish life, the Sfardim and the Mizrahim and the Ashkenazim, and from every walk of life, coming together in this space. Some of them probably wouldn't come in because it's a church, but wow, they would miss it, right? They would miss what's happening in here. It's amazing. For 15 now, actually, this Shabbat is our anniversary. Jeff, did you know this? This Shabbat is the anniversary of our first Shabbat service in 2006, March 25th, 2006. It was a surprise. I didn't want to make a big deal about it. So we've been saying Shalom Aleichem for now 17 years. It's a good thing. The number 17 is Tov. It's the same numerical value, Tov. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. To look at someone and say, as God looked into the world and said, Vayar Elohim es ha'or ki tov, and God looked at the world and said, it's good. To look at someone else and say, Vayar Elohim es ha'or ki tov, to look at the light of the person in front of you and say, it's also good. It's good. 17 years. So we're happy you're here with us tonight, and you can find the words of our ancestors to this beautiful chant, Shalom Aleichem. You can find it on page 6. Let's sing songs together. L'chu niranina. On page 9 and 10.
L'chu niranina. So yishenu Ainegad mafana betoda bizmirot nari alon ki el gadol Adonai. 40 שנה הכות בדור ואומה עם טועה לבב לא ידעו דרך אשר נשבעתי ביפי אם יבואו אל מנוחתי.
As you turn to bed,
Ladonai, shir chadash, shiru Ladonai, kol haaretz, shiru Ladonai, baruchu shemo, basru meyom Yeshuato, sabru v'goyim kevodo, b'chol ha'amim nifleotav.
Psalm 29 can be found on page
20.
Shemo
You may be seated. On page 21 and 22, another koach. Please, with the strength of your loving hands, untie the binding knot. Receive the song of your people, strengthen, cleanse us, unfathomable, we who seek your unity. Give avat shamreim bachim tarim b'chamei tinkas chotamid domleim. Chasin kadosh, birov tuvecha nahel adasecha. On the bottom of page 22. These 6 words. You know, in the Song of Songs, I referenced it earlier tonight. There's the beginning of the Song of Songs says, Ki chavatzelet ben hasharon, ken rayati ben abanot. Like a flower, like a sharon, like a rose with thorns. And so the tradition, the Zohar in the 13th century says the rose is the 13-petaled rose. People have heard of 13-petaled rose. There's a book by Adin Steinsaltz about it, on Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. So we know that in our tradition, 13 is not a superstitious number. It's a holy number. 13 is, I feel like 13 are the attributes of God's love in Yud Gimel Midot Rachamim. And 13 are the ways the Torah is expounded upon or interpreted. And 13, of course, is a special age, coming of age. And 13 is the petaled rose that the Zohar imagines, the beloved. And the beloved 13-petaled rose is also what Shabbat is, meaning the 6 days of the week, with the centerpiece of Shabbat, which is both the end of the first 6 days and the beginning of the next 6 days. So we often think of Shabbat as the end of the week, but it's also the beginning of the next week. And Shabbat's power is that it moves in both directions. It gives what we're doing now meaning because it's the end that we seek, but it's also the beginning. As we're about to say in the Chadodi, we're about to say, Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila was the first idea. So if you start your week off with Shabbat, not just ending your week, then your week is infused from the beginning, right, Theo? With Shabbat, with holiness, with purpose. So welcome, friends, to the centerpiece of a 13-petaled rose that is overflowing in every direction. And so these 6 words of Baruch Shem are also part of the 6 words of the Shema that together are another 13-petaled rose, right? The Shema is 6 words, and then we say these. And who's the 13th? All of us. So on the bottom of the page, these 6 words we chant, an expression of our longing to see divine fullness and bounty expressed in the world around us in as clear a way as is possible. One second, even though that's people, we're going to do something different. Baruch Yavaki Shem Kivod. It's minor Malchuto Leolam Va'en. Noah, listen to them first. They're going to sing it for you. Ready? Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'en. Beautiful. Baruch Shem Kivod So into this space, I invite you to close your eyes if you're not already sitting with your eyes closed. And as you close your eyes, just immediately, without any effort or idea of meditating, just notice what you notice as you turn your attention to the body. If you are aware of your body at this moment, you are already meditating. And as you direct your attention, which is the meaning of the word kavanah, to direct, directing your awareness to your shoulders, and leave your awareness there for 10 seconds, noticing what shoulders feel like tonight. Now bring your awareness, directing it towards what you hear in the room at this moment, just whatever you're hearing. No need to analyze it or even name it, just notice as sound pulls you. And now for the last 30 seconds, just noticing the quality of your eyes. If awareness might soften the muscles and the tension that we all hold behind our eyes tonight. And whenever you feel ready to open your eyes, you can find the words of our ancestors, this beautiful poem on page 23 and 24, Lecha Dodi.
God.
הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, הנה שבת
מקדש מלך, עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי בתוך החפך, רב לך שמש במחבכה, והוא יחבור עלייך נמלה. הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, נשימי תפארתך עמי, על ירדן ישי בית הלחמי, קורבה אל נפשי גאה לנו. הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי לעורף קומי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך ניגע. הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. הולך אדוני לקראת כלה, הנה שבת
ארץ בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצוהלה, טוב אמוני אנסילה, בואי חלה, שבת המלכה. לך אדוני לקראת יממי מני שבת לקרלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה מני שבת לקרלה. Turn to page 27 and 28, please remain standing. Bizmoshilio, Mashabbat Tolados Adonai. Lagi Bamoke Hastech Bamunas Rabelinos Leosovelinda. On the bottom of page 28.
Tzadik katamar Eres Mamanan Eloheinu Yafrihu Hodyenu Beseva Teshenim Verananim Lehagi Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Alata Bo.
Adonai Malachim, Salvation, page 229. Mikolas Maim Rabim Adirim, Mishperayam Adir Bamarim Adonai. Eido Sechanem Numod Veschan Ava Kodesh, Adonai Leorech Yamin.
You can be seated.
We bring to mind all of those who are in need of healing tonight, the prayer for healing.
to comfort you. Anna, Anna, Rifanala, Anna,
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. A couple of very brief announcements before we say hello to folks here. So tonight, as you look into your newsletter, hopefully, we want to say thank you to the Chesed Committee led by Elliot Figman and Jamie Phillips for the wonderful Chesed Shabbat last week. You can learn how you can request support or volunteer to do more acts of kindness at romemu.org/chesed. Next webinar in the Social Action Committee's new series this Tuesday, focus on approaches to treatment instead of jail. When appropriate, register for the Zoom link. Next week, Zach Fredman will be back. Anybody know Zach Fredman? Zach Fredman is an incredible musician and part of our community, and so we've been honored to have him with us for a couple of Shabbatot over this year, and he'll be with us, and there'll be a meal as well. That's next Friday night, March 31st, a Shabbat dinner, and first the service and then the dinner. Passover is less than 2 weeks away. Join us for our Seder, second night of Passover, April 6th. New virtual group starting, Spiritual Eldering, that's also on your newsletter, starts Tuesday. And our third annual Shabbat of the Child will be happening in April. Did I read that with enough feeling for all of you? Should I do it a little bit more monotonously? Tomorrow, Romemu, Mandala, no, that's going to be on Sunday. Okay, so that's for Saturday. Okay, that's how I feel about announcements, everybody. It's just like, okay, because nobody's, anybody remember what I said? Yeah, the one who wrote the newsletter remembers what I said. Tali, because you're in the newsletter. Anybody else? We should do away with newsletters and announcements. How do you guys feel about that? Let's get away from announcements on Friday night. How do you feel? Let's take like a democratic, you like Shelley? Let's fight about it. How about that? Let's have it, those who want newsletter announcements, please rise. Stand up and say newsletter. And those who don't want newsletter, okay. There's going to be a protest next week, and this proposed judicial reform might actually be met with a lot of resistance, so we're going to leave it with the people and see what happens. Maybe CNN will pick it up. Okay, great. Okay. Anybody here for the first time want to say hello? Anybody? First timers? Is there anybody here from the group of people that left Romemu that wants to say hello? Anybody here from the group that left Romemu? Anybody? Online? Anybody? Okay, so here are some new people. Great. New people.
Oh, you have. It's the on button. Oh, I thought I saw a hand over here. If you raised your hand, then put it down. That's okay. But if you want to put it back up again, it's also okay. Do you want to stand up and tell us where you're coming from, your name?
Debbie Denenberg, alum of the Pardis Institute, recent empty nester and spending time here from Omaha, Nebraska.
Nice.
Welcome.
Omaha.
Who else? I won't pick on people who I know who are here for the first time. You can tell because they look at the person that they come here with and they're like, don't. Don't. See, and now they're laughing at one another.
I'm Lynn Pearl. I'm here for the first time, and I'm happy to be here, and I hope to be able to continue to come. I live 5 blocks away, and I'm a long-time New Yorker. I've been here for 42 years.
Nate, just cut everything here and just have her. Just cut everything.
Who else? Otherwise, we'll just sit here. Okay, great.
Check. Let's rise, everybody, for Marav. On page 31 and 32, Baruch Hu es Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. You may be seated, everyone. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'cha shechina מלך חיה וקיימת תדמית תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה ברוך עד שכינה המעריבה ערבים. Abbas Olam Beis Yisrael on page 36. כי הם חיינו מאורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. Abbas Chatas Mimenu Li'olam Baruch Atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai V'yohavta eis Adonai Elohecha on page 39 and 40 b'chol levavecha b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha.
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך היו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
You get to now page 41 and 42, 43, 44, Yav Shemot Shemot Tosa, Shonech B'Tzevet. Ayom Adonai Moshe Limor Daber B'nei Yisrael Yamar Tali Yesodem Tzitzit Al Gan Pei B'nei Yom L'Dor Samar Kumot Tzitzit Oisem Oso Uzechartem Es Kol Mitzvos Adonai Vasisem Osam V'lo Sasu Acharei Dvav Kem Echreinichem Asher Etem Zonim Acharei Lama Andis Geru Vasisem Es Kol Mitzvosai Yisem Ki Don Shimne Lemechem Ani Adonai Lemechem Asher Otzeis Yeschem Le'eretz Mitzrayim Le'osachem Le'elohim Ani Adonai Adonai Elohechem emes ve'emunah kozos v'keim aleinu. Page 46. Page 48. Ra'u v'anim es k'vuraso shibu v'yodu lishmo machuso v'ratzon kivlu aleihem Moshe u'Miriam v'nei Tzedachanu shira b'simcha raba. Ay, 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 v'yamer kulam Shemada Adonai Yaakov Gal Me'ad Chazak Mimenu Baruch Ata Adonai Gal Yisrael Tashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom on page 49.
Ushmor tzeitenu vo'enu L'chaim u'l'shalom eta ve'ad olam Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Baruch ata Adonai Haborei Sukkot shalom aleinu Ve'akol amo Yisrael Ve'akol yoshvei tevel Ve'al Yerushalayim
Rise, page 52. Meshamru Enei Yisrael
Et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam berit olam
ay ay ay
Beini u'bein bnei Yisrael Oti le'olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai Et hashamayim ve'et haaretz U'ayom ha'shevi'i Shabbat
Chatziga Rishon, page 52. Yiskadal v'yiskadash me'rabai.
Amen.
Almad Yirach Yusei, Yamnit Machusei, V'chayechonu Yomechon,
U'chayechol Beit Yisrael
Ba'agala, U'bizman, Ve'yimiru, Yesh me'rabai me'vorach, Alam Yomei Alayim.
Yitbarach ve'yishtabach Vitpa'ar v'yitromam ve'yitnaseh Ve'yitadar ve'yitaleh ve'yitalal Shmei tekudsha le'ela Min kol birchata ve'shirata
Tush v'chata
ve'nechemata tamira ve'meru
Yamidah can be found on page 56 in your Sigurim.
Shabbos by and by. Ozi vezimrat ya vayehi Yeshua. Ozi vezimrat ya
I was out west and I was visiting a friend, and I don't know how this happened, but we wound up watching a movie that I hadn't seen in like 25 years. The Verdict was a movie where Paul Newman, in much classic Paul Newman style, plays the down and out, troubled, washed up, in this case, lawyer, who's got a drinking problem, who was at the height of success in his life before tragedy and moral compromise to some degree, or moral punishment for moral integrity, actually, had him down and out. And through some remarkable series of events, he finds himself on the verge of redeeming himself. He's given a second chance when he takes on a difficult case that also has at its core a moral dilemma. And the movie pivots on this moral moment for him. And as all heroic journeys do in their mythic structure, he's got to make an important decision. It's right there in front of him. We, the audience, know what he should do. We're not altogether sure that were we in the similar situation that we'd make the same choice, the kind of hope that we would. But he turns away from money, turns away from the easy path and pursues justice, and is true to himself, and in that way he redeems himself. His redemption comes through that second chance as he confronts his flaws, his limitations, his past mistakes, his regret, his remorse. We see his character develop. It's ultimately a story of tshuva, as we would call it in our tradition, of making amends, of making a different choice in a similar situation, and in that way finding integrity, finding one's way back to yosher, to that which is straight, that which is aligned, that which is true to you and true. And of course, the situation is fraught. Everything's at stake. There's much to lose. There's much to gain. And so the Paul Newman character here in The Verdict, this lawyer, becomes every person in some way, shape, or form facing failures, facing mistakes, facing regret and remorse, and wanting more than anything to be authentic and to be honest. This theme, of course, is kind of a common mythical structure in almost every religious tradition, every spiritual tradition, every TV show, every movie. Ted Lasso, Somebody who's down and out, on the verge of a divorce, who finds his way to England. He's never coached a football or soccer team, football team before, and remains true to himself at every turn. And in that way is resonating with millions and millions of people who are like, wow, it's possible to be a stranger in the strange land and not lose your own voice, not lose your truth, to make choices in the moment that are honest and real. At the heart of the third book of the Torah, which we've just begun and we'll be reading tomorrow morning, is a similar question, which is how do we return to alignment? How do we return to authenticity? How do we rediscover the ground on which we were once standing and now have lost our way? The entire book of Leviticus is all about what we do when we make a mistake, how we make amends, what we do with that impetus or that impulse to try to set things straight, redemption writ large. And all of that story is condensed into one remarkable word which begins the book of Leviticus. And I've talked about this in the shul many, many times. The book of Leviticus, which is translated inaccurately, but it has the gist of the book, but we Jews don't call it Leviticus, we call it Vayikra. Vayikra is the first word of the third book. It doesn't mean Leviticus, which is about the Levites, which of course it is, but Vayikra is much more powerful. The word Vayikra means to call. Vayikra, and he called. And two things stand out from the first word and the first phrase. The first is that the entirety of the first verse has three speech moments which begin with this call, Vayikra. But the call doesn't name the one who is calling, just the one who is being called. Vayikra el Moshe, and he implied called to Moshe. Who is the one calling? And who, may I ask, is calling? It's the divine caller. Caller ID would have said, Yahweh, Hashem, like God calling. So the first question, of course, is why? It's a very odd locution in the Torah for the Torah to begin with a very hidden divine call. The divine person, as it were, the divine character is implied but not named, and only named in the next piece of the verse, the next fragment. Vayikra Moshe, and he called to Moshe, Vayidaber Adonai elav, and then God spoke to him. God is named in the second fragment, but not in the first. That's the first question. The second question is that if anybody has ever seen the first word of the book of Leviticus, Vayikra, you'll notice an orthographic anomaly. The word Vayikra, which is spelled Vav Yud Kuf Resh Aleph, Vayikra, V-A-Y-I-K-R-A. In the actual Torah scroll, it's written with a small little letter Aleph at the end, an A that is really small. Imagine V-A-Y-I-K-R, all in 14-point font. And then the A is 6 font. It's called an Aleph Ze'erah, it's a small Aleph. Now the simplest answer for this is that it actually never was there. Right? There are other places in the Torah where the call to a prophet is Vayikar. Right? There's a prophet named Balaam who's a non-Jewish prophet in the book of Numbers, and there it says Vayikar, no Aleph. So maybe Jews who didn't want to compare Bilam to Moshe thought, we better put an Aleph here to make it special. Maybe it's a scribal anomaly, but that's kind of strange too, because then they probably should have hidden their tracks by making it a normal-sized Aleph. So there's a lot of ink spilled about this little Aleph that could. This little letter. This little Aleph is vital. Because in our tradition, Aleph always represents, to some degree, unity. It's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It represents something that is irreducible, something that is radically unique and true and special. So I read one Hasidic master who said, his name was Morav Shemesh, a Hasidic teacher in our tradition said this very beautifully. He said that God's name doesn't appear in the call because so often in our lives, we have no idea who's calling. So often in our lives, we will meet moments whose character whose profound impact on our own history and the history of our small microcosm, our small world, is unknown to us. Moments don't appear to us and say, hi, I'm the most important moment of your life. Hi, it's God. The Mor Hashem says, God will appear in ordinary garb in this moment and the next. And only the one who is listening deeply says, as Moshe was listening, thinking, maybe God's calling right now. Maybe this moment is a God moment. Will be awake to the fact of God's call. If each of us is looking for caller ID, when we get the call, we might miss the call because God has an unidentified number. So pick up the call. Moshe was attuned to hearing God speaking to him in a small bush that was on fire, in the cries of the slaves, in our children asking us for another moment. I can't tell you how many times this week alone people said to me, you know, my kids don't ever want to go to sleep. Anybody ever been there before? Kids don't want to go to sleep? Sinai, do you like going to sleep? No, I know you don't. I know. When children don't want to go to sleep, we often assume that the reason why they're acting out is because they're rebellious or because all kinds of reasons. But really, it's just an opportunity for us to answer God's call in that moment. They want connection often. A congregant who's upset, a friend who's upset, a nation that is going through paroxysms of fear and anger and protest. God calls, but we don't always know that it's God calling, and that's the trick, because it's always God calling. When is it not God calling? And she comes in so many different guises, in so many different shapes and forms, in every newspaper, from right to left, from left to right, from above to below. When is it not God calling? It doesn't always appear like what was his name? Burns, George Burns with a cigar. It's not, John Denver. So the Mor Hashem says, the Torah says, Vaikra Moshe. He just called him Moshe. And Moshe's like, yeah, I got to pick this up. And then he says about the little Aleph, he says that God's call was saying to him that no matter what's happened in your life, you can still find an Aleph at the end. Like Paul Newman's character, Frank Galvin, another moment will appear where your redemption and your ability to set it straight, to set it right, to put it back on the Aleph, to begin again, it will appear again. And to begin the book of Leviticus, the book of Vayikra, with number one, hearing the call, and every moment might be a moment for you to be able to set things back to the beginning, to the Aleph. Don't catastrophize, as David Burns or Albert Ellis would say in the world of cognitive behavioral therapy. Don't catastrophize. I'll never, ever be able to fix this. Vayikra. The next moment, you might get another Aleph chance from an unknown, anonymous person that says, here, fix your pattern right now. And you're so busy catastrophizing that you lost that call. You can call back, who knows? For those who are wondering whether or not the Jewish people and the state of Israel will be okay, let me tell you, they will be okay. How do I know? I know. Vayikra. I'm not telling you what specifically should happen this week or next week. You all will make your own decisions, and many leaders will weigh in and tell you exactly what to do. But let me set it straight. Vayikra. There's going to be an Aleph at the end. We're going to get a chance to fix things that are broken. It will come again. And in our own lives too. Doesn't matter where you are, you're on the way out somewhere. Vayikra will appear. In the very next stop on your local train to your destiny, there will be a next stop that will be like, hello, redemption, all aboard. It's the way it works. When Freud wrote about repetition compulsion, he was beautifully drawing on many traditions, but one of them was the book of Leviticus and on the Torah's idea and other traditions' idea of the eternal return. We're all going to come back to hear it again. You'll get another chance, God willing. Will you pick up the call? And by the way, no one, another interpretation of the little aleph, many of you will have those moments, but it's not a big aleph. You're not going to have your Aleph newspaper that will announce to the whole world. You know, on the corner of 5th Avenue and 97th Street, my wife and I were on a phone call, and we did something that we had never done before, and we went around the usual obstacle that gets us stuck right there. It's between you and you. You and your wife, you and your partner, you and your lover. Vayikra happens, and the Aleph is small, but that little Aleph can do a lot. It can promise a lot. So we begin this book of atonement, of regrets lifted up and cleansed, of honesty and transparency, and of alignment. We begin this book, and the tradition tells us that this book, not the book of Genesis, not the book of Exodus, not the first two books of the Torah, the third book, with all of its atonement and its guilt and its sacrifices, guess what? When children in cheder, children in traditional schools would go to school to learn Torah, do you know what book they began with? Not with Breshit, in the beginning God created the world. No. They didn't start with Exodus. Oh, you know about that family that went down to Egypt? They came back up again. No. The first Torah teaching of children is the counterintuitive Leviticus. Because it's not about the Levites, it's about the call. It's about the returning call. It's about the power of each and every one of us, individually, collectively, to be in places that we didn't thought we'd ever be, and trust that redemption was still possible. And so we say, Kinderlach, come. When you're going to fall down and get a boo-boo, you're going to get another chance. Yavo, let the pure ones come and get involved with purity, because to be part of the human condition is to know that Vayikra happens, and that little aleph, that small little point of alignment and honesty and transparency and authenticity is still alive in all of you, in me too. So tonight I just want to bless all of you. May the Holy One of Blessing, who is known in our tradition as Alufo Shel Olam, the Aleph of the world, the one known by so many names, worshipped in so many ways, the one whose voice can boom and also be a silent whisper, a kol madaka. May that Holy One give each and every one of us who feels that somehow we're on the outside the faith that a call will come, and that if we attune ourselves to that call, we will be called back to set straight what has been made crooked, to heal that which has been broken, and together to lift up a world that is so desperately in need of a deep listening. I wish it for all of you and for me, and we say Amen.
Amen.
Please rise. We find Be'ashevota in your Siddur on page 80. Page 78. those who are in mourning tonight, we lift up the memory of loved ones. If it is your custom to stand during the mourner's Kaddish, please remain standing. Our custom in Romemu is to invite people to say the names of loved ones. If you feel so called, I'll move around the room. Feel free to say it out loud. David? Anyone? Ed? Online, there are those who write their names of loved ones in. We lift those up as well. If it's your custom to stand, please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 115 and 116. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'olma divrachi lusei v'yamlich machusei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei decho Beit Yisrael Bagala v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivarach le'elam me'amaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram v'oma v'imru Amen. Yehi shloma rabba min shemaya v'chaim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom v'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. Yehi zichron baruch, may their memory be a blessing. We invite everybody to please rise at this moment. We have, Jeff, do we have a Kiddush tonight across the street? No Kiddush. Oh, across the street, little Oneg across the street. So right after services, everybody across the street. A couple of other things. A big yasher koach to Jeffrey and to the whole team, and thank you to Nate and our moderators online, as well as those in-house staff, to our davening leaders, to Mark and to Claudia, to Noah and to Shoshana, and of course, last but not least, to Rabbi to-be Jackson Mercer. And in honor of this being Jackson's last Shabbat with Romemu, I'd like to present Jackson with a Romemu Sidur that has been inscribed with loving thoughts and memories of your stay here with us. Tomorrow morning, we'll be giving Jackson Aliyah and also another gift and another blessing for his work here. There is a dearth of Jewish leaders in the world today. There are rabbinical schools that are suffering to find talented young people who want to dedicate their lives to Jewish practice and to Jewish people and to Jewish civilization. And before Jackson came to Romemu, it was already well known to me as a very young, talented musician and also a very gentle soul. And he and his wife, Rachel, are expecting, God willing, their first child in the next, very soon, very, very soon, sooner than you can be ready for it. And I just want to say that on behalf of this entire community that are gathered here, and also those online and those who studied with you in various classes that you offered here, that we were really blessed to have your presence with us. We had hoped on some level that next year might, have Jackson with us as well. And we're very well aware that being in the first year of fatherhood is a very immense lift. And so holding that down and also holding down this community at the same time is certainly something that I'm thankful that you're going to be able to kind of take it at your own pace. We, in the Romemu community, we hope that you won't mind if we, from this point on, we kind of have a piece of Jackson, so that wherever you go and you do great things, we'll be able to shep nachs and say, there goes, Rabbi Jackson Mercer out in the world bringing, beautiful music and beautiful Torah and love to the world. And as we, as I said, I wrote to you and others will say, mi Romemu to Romemu. Whenever you are in town, this Romemu is still your community, and we look forward to welcoming you back as soon as possible. Yesher koach.
Same. I don't know. We're on the top of page 88. Vayer Elohim et kol asher asa v'hinei tov me'od vayerev vayivoker yom hashishi vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chotzevam Vayichal Elohim bayom hashvihi malachto asher asa. Vayishpot bayom hashvihi mikol malachto asher asa. Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvihi vayikadesh oto ki vo shavat mikol malachto asher bara Elohim la'aso. Savri Chavirai Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Peri HaGefen Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kitshanu B'mitzvotav V'ratzavanu V'Shabbat Kodsho Be'ahava U'Ratzon Hichilanu Zikaron Lema'aseh V'Reishi Ki Hu Yom Techila Lemigraye Kodesh Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu V'acharta Ve'otanu Kidashta Im Kol Ha'amim B'Shabbat Kodshecha Ve'ahava Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh
And into this also amazing space, we just want to say one last thank you, and for now, goodbye. This beautiful young man, Mark Luban, has been with us now for 2 years. High holidays and the end of last year, and then now, and Mark's going to be going back home for a little bit and taking a break from the intensity of the New York City and go back and take care of your heart and take care of yourself. And so we bless you here in this community. Those of us who, if you're here tonight for the first time, you might already have experienced how blessed we've been with Mark's neshama and his heart, his soul, and his soulful playing. And so we just want to bless you. Tzedchala Shalom. That you go in wholeness and you come back in wholeness, and that wholeness is, what it's all about is wholeness. And so we love you, and this place will be waiting. Nobody's going to be playing the piano the way you play the piano, or it's just going to be there.
Maybe Jerry can
Elijah's piano is just going to stay there empty, and then you're going to come back. And we're looking forward to you coming back to visit us, and soon we'll be singing with you again. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mark.
Shabbos, everybody, get Shabbos. Oh, say shalom bimroma, oh, ya ase shalom.